Hello friends and welcome. In this practice we are going to target our wrists, shoulders and spine. This is a perfect practice to do during your lunch break because it's very short, it's less than 15 minutes in length. And in this practice we're going to stretch the wrists, open the shoulders and really move a little bit in our spine, which is really perfect if you spend the first half of your day sitting hunched over the computer. All you need is a single yoga block to keep you supported during some of the forward leaning postures, as well as being supported in a cross-legged sitting pose. If you don't have a yoga block, grab a really thick book and we are going to get started. Okay, we will start by coming onto our hands and knees, hands directly underneath our shoulders. Knees are hip-width distance apart, and we will start with stretching our wrists. So first, hands are pointing forward and leaning back, forward and back. 3 times forward and 3 times back, just feeling the stretch in our wrists and hitting the wrists to 9 and 3 o'clock. And shifting from right to left. One more time to each side. And then rotating our hands so that the fingers are pointing towards the knees. This may be a bit challenging, so feel free to make it a little bit easier by walking your hands closer towards your knees. This makes the pose a little bit easier. And then shifting the back. You should feel it right about here. Just one more time. Perfect. Release all the way back. And then open your knees wide and connect the feet together and then shift into a child's pose. And then stretch out your arms in front of you. You can place your head or forehead on the mat, or if you have a yoga block, you can place the block right under your forehead and use it as a nice rest for your head. As you are in child's pose, this is an active child's pose. See if you can actively walk your fingers as much forward as you possibly can. All the while sinking with your chest into your mat. Take a moment here to connect with your breath. Just a reminder, we should be breathing through the nose, in and out all the time. 2 more breaths in this pose. Feeling the stretch in our triceps, upper back, trapezius, and chest. And in the next exhalation, coming back into tabletop, and then lifting our hips into downward dog. Feel free to make this downward dog as comfortable for you as possible. Play around with the positioning of the hands. Maybe walk your feet a little bit closer to your hands, maybe a little bit further. And once you find a nice, comfortable, stable pose, see if you can pedal your feet out, left, and then right. See if you can press your hands away from your ears. Really lengthen through the spine. And it's okay if your heels do not reach all the way down to your mat or to the floor. Accept things the way they are. You just focus on the feeling of stretching in your muscles, in your hamstrings, in your calves. You find that middle ground where you just feel enough effort and you can tolerate the mild discomfort that comes with stretching our
muscles. One more breath in this pose. And then slowly coming down to our knees. And let's transition to a cross-legged sitting. This is where you can use a yoga block or a very thick book. You can place it under your seat and come up into cross-legged sitting. Let's raise the arms all the way to the sky, placing the right hand on the left knee, sweeping our other arm behind our back, and having a gentle twist to the left. We're going to hold each pose for 3 breaths. There are going to be relatively short breaths. This is breath number 2. And this is breath number 3. Coming back to the center, connect the palms together, and the same movement to the other side, using the hand on our knee as a leverage to give our body a bit of a twisting action, and at the same time reaching behind our back with the other arm. Holding this once again for 3 breaths. Once you settle into the pose, this is where we start counting the breaths. And one more last breath. Coming back to the center. Let's raise the hands all the way to the sky, and then we're going to take the left elbow, or left hand rather, place it to the side, and then open up through the side of our body, raising the right arm over our head. Now beware, you're not trying to collapse forward, trying to open all the way up to the sky, really feeling that action in your obliques, in your side ribs. And if it helps, you can rotate your neck and start gazing above you. Maybe even have the side of your armpit in your field of vision. Stretching, feeling that stretch. You can wiggle your fingers here to bring a little bit more action into that pose. And on the next inhalation, let's raise both hands to the sky and repeat the same action to the other side, supporting ourselves with the hand. Remember, opening up through our obliques, feeling the side ribs right there, stretching, feeling stretching action all the hips, all the way to your pinky, and all the while not forgetting to breathe. 2 more breaths in this pose. And then coming back to the center, let's bring our hands, our arms sideways, rotate the fingers, the thumbs back, and then bring your hands behind your back, interlock the hands together, drive the shoulder blades together, and then lean forward as far as you can, and at the same time lifting the hands to the sky. It doesn't really matter how far you can go in terms of leaning forward. What matters is really the opening action on your shoulders, and you do that by trying to lift your hands all the way up as far as you possibly can. And once again, this is where you can use a block as a support for your head, so you can use it in front of you, place your forehead on top of it, and stabilize your upper body, and really try to get your hands as far into the air as possible. Let's fixate that pose. Let's take 3 nice tempered breaths in through the nose, out through the nose. And coming back to the center. Let's connect the palms together And holding the palms together, we're going to, on an exhalation, bring them behind the neck, trying to keep our neck nice and straight, avoiding leaning forward. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, bring the hands connected together in front of you and dry them forward. Inhale, lift them up to the sky. Exhale, behind your neck. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, in front of your chest. Inhale, drive them forward. Exhale, back to the chest. Inhale, up over your head. Exhale, behind your neck. All the way up. 2 more times. Exhale, back in front of your chest. Inhale in front. Exhale, back. Inhale all the way up. And exhale behind your neck. Try to link those movements with your breath. And coming back to the chest. Let's shake off our wrists. If you're sitting on a block, get rid of the block. Let's put everything to the side and let's transition to our belly. So stretch out on your yoga mat. Place the hands, or rather the arms, in the T position. Now lift up your left hand and place it on your fingertips. Lift up your left leg and then swivel that leg over your body, bringing a stretch right into your shoulder. Your head should be hanging up in the air, so avoid placing it back on your mat. That may not be so comfortable for your neck, and really focus on driving your body into that side twist, bringing your stretch. You should feel the stretch right here in this part of your of your shoulder. Holding this for 5 breaths, starting right about now. And you feel this is a little bit uncomfortable, you can ease off by rotating your body more towards the ground. And if this is not enough for you, press into your fingertips to give it more rotation and bring that stretch into your shoulder. 2 more breaths. Excellent. On an exhalation, coming back all the way to the center. You're going to do the same thing on the other side. So the right hand goes on our fingertips. Let's get that right leg over our body. Bring the stretch into the left shoulder. Find that pose that works for you. And let's start with our 5 breaths. Feel free to experiment with putting a little bit more weight into your foot, just pushing off a little bit more with the fingers in your hand. Just kind of experiment and see how it feels in your shoulder. 2 more breaths until you find that optimal position that really works for you in this particular moment in time. Perfect. On the next exhalation, let's bring the body back to the center. Take your hands, position them next to your side, next to your ribs, the width of your mat. Press the elbows together as close to your ribs as possible, and lifting up through your chest into a baby cobra. And the closer the hands to your waist, the more difficult it is. The further they are, the more support you can get. So also you can experiment with different positioning of your hands with relation to your body. So find a pose that works for you and try to avoid flaring out the elbows and really hug them closer into your ribs. And also do a quick check behind you, make sure that your legs are nice and straight and engaged. Hold in this pose for 5 breaths. This is a great chest opener, so use that as an opportunity to really take deep, long inhalations all the way, filling up the lungs, followed by very long, deep exhalation. I also like to close my eyes in these types of poses to really get connected with the sensations in my body. You can experiment with that as well. 2 more breaths. This can be a bit challenging on the upper body, but with time you develop the necessary upper body strength to be able to support your upper body in that pose. And on the next exhalation, let's return everything back to the floor and then gently transition into a child's pose with wide open knees, so the knees are nicely open. And just like we did in the beginning of the practice, stretching out all the way to the floor. You can use the block to support your head. See if you can elongate your side body by walking your fingers as far away from your body as possible, and really sink with your belly and your chest into that space between your knees. Hold in this pose for 5 breaths. And on the next exhalation, slowly coming up into sitting on top of our legs. This concludes this practice. Thank you for practicing with me, and I'll see you next time.